MK Murtaugh, Merc Witness 1. And welcome to a Friday Mobilethon. Now, part of what I'm going to discuss today is more or less new developments in the ause murder case. Early in March, a series of discovery documents were filed with the court, and several of them had been sealed or locked. Well, one or two of them got unlocked, and one of the documents that been unlocked was one that had been known, and that was Neeley's claim to the FBI that she was some kind of a special agent or something, and made clear her points of view as far as sovereign citizenship. The same thing was true of the statements that she made in the state of Georgia when she was arrested. There was a request for DNA that was granted, so the DNA testing is going to be done, presumably of Neeley Blanchard. And fingerprints are going to be submitted to the court that apparently have already been taken. Now, there is still the question of whether or not there's going to be additional tests to determine who the unidentified DNA belongs to that is alleged to have been found on the gun. Under certain circumstances, convicted felons can have their DNA submitted to prosecution in another jurisdiction if it was taken at the time of their arrest. As far as getting any additional DNA samples from anyone else that may be involved in conspiracy with regards to Neeley Blanchard's activities, there would need to be court proceedings to accomplish that. And it is alleged that that process might come at a later date. But right now, they are at least trying to identify as many DNA samples as they can that were present both on the firearm and at the Hallett residence. Now, it would appear, when you look at all the discovery evidence that's been submitted so far by the prosecution, that the defense is going to have a rather difficult job. Neeley more or less confessed in front of a witness to her motive for being at the house and committing the crime. So you have intent, criminal intent, and premeditation, which is the charge against her. Premeditated first-degree murder with special circumstance. She shot the guy in the back. The guy was alive long enough to know that he was going to die, and he made it clear vocally that he knew that he was going to die. Now, there might be a mitigating defense of temporary insanity, a crime of passion, the mitigation being all the betrayal that may have happened because of Chris Hallett and his false representation of his abilities to do what he promised to do, and the fact that he lied about his credentials. And it could probably be shown that Neeley Blanchard was misled by the Children's Crusade, allegedly the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, possibly by Field McConnell, Kirk Pendergrass, and others who are alleged to have been involved with Neeley's attempts to procure her children. As far as the aforementioned group's activities, it may come in evidence of their involvement with the Cynthia Abzug incident, as when discovery starts to be presented to the courts by the prosecution in her case, all these names are going to be part of the discovery. And these people may wind up either being defendants as co-conspirators or witnesses to explain their association with Cynthia Abzug. So there's a liability there. And the defense in her case has a similar situation that would be present in the Blanchard case, although not quite as strong, because in the Abzug case we have hearsay evidence. The daughter is stating what her mother said or intended remotely, and the case hinges on the validity of her suspicion that her mother did intend to kidnap her other child and do harm to the foster parents that had custody of that child. Cynthia Abzug was stopped before any intended plot could be carried out. And it would appear that Cynthia had abandoned that course of action. It was simply trying to run away from the situation when she was arrested in Montana. Now, it is not clear at this point. The court may or may not hear from the prosecution the connection between all these cases. To my knowledge, there's about 5 cases that are interconnected with this group and either intended or aborted plans to illegally regain custody of their children by the mothers. This will all have to come out as time goes on. But it would appear that there are quite a number of people that have a lot to worry about, because as these trials progress and as it gets closer to the possibility of at least one individual facing the death penalty, that there may be some negotiation taking place to turn state's evidence against these individuals. And it is at that point that worry is going to be there. Because this is a capital murder case. This is not a wire fraud case. This is not any minor cases of minimal consequence. This is a capital crime involving the taking of the life of another human being. A firearm was used in the commission of a felony. Depending on the circumstances of how Neeley Blanchard obtained that weapon, there could be a charge levied against whoever provided her with that weapon, knowing that she was a convicted felon and knowing that she had already allegedly took part in activities to kidnap her children and take him across the state of Kentucky. She was already awaiting trial on those charges. And she has compounded her troubles by now being under arrest, in custody, awaiting trial for first-degree murder with special circumstance, which will inevitably wind up being a death penalty case if that's the course of action the state decides to do. And again, her option at this point is to negotiate a plea deal. Her best bet would not even to go to trial, to basically beg the state to give her a reduced sentence of life without parole, and at least she would remain alive for 50 years or so. And hopefully in return, she would be willing to testify against those who got her in this situation in the first place. Because it is alleged that people took advantage of her vulnerability and her proven past erratic actions when it came to seeking custody of her children. And that those people who intervened in her case should have known that she had violent tendencies and that there was always the possibility that she would use her violent tendencies in some dramatic fashion. And if she chooses to do so, her environment that she is facing when convicted and her fate is doled out at sentencing, she might be in a better situation. Time will tell. This is William K. Murtaugh, Murder Witness 1. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification tab, and stay tuned as I report on anything else that may come out in these various situations. And have a good one, and have a good weekend.